It is 8:15 AM. We will begin this work session on Lake County Board of County Commissioners. On the agenda today is guidance for legislative positions with CCI's steering committee. Yeah.
Oh, yay! Hi,
Little teddy bear.
who is this? Oh, this
I think
is
this is
Annie's.
Andy's dog.
It looks like a mini version of
He's
Escaped
huge.
his enclosure.
That's okay.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh gosh. He's so excited.
Alright.
I know, he's like.
Okay, team, any thoughts?
Oh my gosh, is that where you're going?
What are we, let's bring them up one by one. Eh?
No, you all were gonna go over what was important to you and let me know.
I read
don't
through the
have
policy
The list.
statement and I pretty much agree with everything, so I was curious what you thought, Elsa, cause this is for guidance, is that right? Tomorrow.
Yes, you're letting me know what you care about, that you specifically want me to make sure that I'm voting for on Friday.
Mhm.
Lake 2025.
Exclamation. With a capital L. Maybe it's not ready yet.
I don't think teachers should pay taxes.
Cool, I'll write that down. I don't think that's been proposed, but
No,
I
it's
will.
not. Senator Bennett's, people were real keen on the idea. I said, if you steal that from me, you gotta give me a shout out.
Well, we'll be on the team. You know, no taxes for teachers.
At least we can start at the state level. So,
The one that seemed most interesting, based on conversations we've had in here is the, Aspen's, transfer fee for sales. What do y'all think about that?
I'm not sure that's the vehicle I wanna lean into with the idea of, the bigger discussion is vacancy taxes.
Totally, it's just, that has not been proposed.
The transfer fee was the vehicle that they wanted to use. Dan Foote, Steamboat City Attorney, tried to get that one, he worked, crafted that one up, and that one got narrowly defeated by Steamboat City Council. And after our last meeting with CCAT on this one, me and Ann Brown from San Miguel County, I don't know if we're ready to have yeah, sure, a transfer fee would be one solution. It seems like it's just such a giant complex problem that I don't know how to get around the restrictions,
Tabor?
yeah.
Yeah, I think they're trying to get it into litigation so that it can get through Tabor, but they have to get it passed through the legislation before it can be litigated,
Mhm.
so that's their approach.
Is there a way to be like, okay, here's what we want to see, but we don't know how to, I don't know,
Well,
like,
that's what I brought up. That's what I brought up about, like, how do we bring legislation to the state and how do we work with staff, and if staff has an idea, how do we work together to build something, to bring it to a group like CCI or CCAT.
and
So we don't have that process yet.
yeah, this is what I'm still really new at, this part of this process of like, how are we building this thing in a way that gains traction? And a lot of what I'm learning is what not to do so far, and that's having like the half-baked ideas that I have in my head, like, hey, I wanna do this thing, and then it's like, well, how do they, like.
Well, then we work on it together. I think Candace heard and has the info from Elizabeth, our lobbyist.
Yeah.
Some templates so that that can be a project that we work on
Okay,
next.
okay,
But that's not gonna happen for like Friday. but maybe it's something that we could get together for the next legislative session.
Yeah,
I do think, yeah.
there's so much unfleshed out, like, I'm trying to look at the points and counterpoints and see where things have stalled, you know, like I've heard Matt's objections, and in my mind, I'm like, I think a vacancy tax, maybe it shouldn't apply to new construction, you know, so it doesn't hinder the building aspect of things. If you're gonna build a new house, then you're adding to the housing pool, and that's not creating part of the problem, you know, so there's all these weird little details that I'm trying to wrap my head around, and I'm working with other people on it who are also kind of in the same boat, that I'm reluctant to, I don't wanna charge ahead just yet until we've kind of got our group
Yeah.
solidified on an idea.
Totally.
Have y'all forwarded this information to the county attorney's office for review? Cause we might be able to provide you with some input as to potential input you would like to give as to some of these points, so.
Not yet, no,
Cause I say if y'all have something from them that y'all will be reviewing on Friday, they say they haven't said anything.
No, this doesn't exist.
Okay,
What we're
Yeah.
talking about doesn't exist, it's just
I
a
thought
shared.
this was like, you said something about policies there, I thought it was something that they had routed in preparation for Friday's meeting,
yeah,
so.
no,
No,
I
it's
made a
just a
comment
shared
at a CCAT meeting. And the Commissioner Ann Brown in San Miguel County reached out to me, and we've just kind of been information gathering to this point, like who's tried this, where have they gotten, where have they fallen short? If we wanna move forward, what are the, you know, what are potential problems, what are things that, you know, language not to use,
Well, and that's, as I was saying, if y'all have some things you'd like to propose, you can send it to the county attorney's office to say, this is what we would like to propose. How do we need to approach it, or are there any pitfalls, or is this something that is legal within the current system, or what would have to change to make it legal, kind of what Elsa was talking about
I doubt it's legal.
right now.
yeah, the previous approaches have been shot down with a lot of basis on that. The problem still exists, and it's still very real. I thought it was bad here, it's really bad in other communities. The amount of empty houses sitting there that damage the whole housing subject this is like the elephant in the room that, and we're like, why as soon as you bring it up, does it get shot down, or are people like, oh no, like, you know, we can't touch this, and so that was like the basis of this, like, we wanna learn more, we wanna understand why this is like a dirty word when we bring it up, you know, and it just seems like there's been some missteps made, especially by CML, came at it with a really, sounds like contentious approach and burned a lot of bridges at the state level.
Who's that?
Colorado
Municipal League. So like I said, learning from other people's mistakes, figuring out where there's and the appetite's growing, that's the undeniable aspect, there's more and more people who are asking the state, you keep asking more of us and giving us less to do it with, help us help ourselves. We'll put it to the voters, don't let lobbying groups tell you guys, hey, this is how it should be, let the people decide. But the hoops to jump through are numerous and complex. So I don't know if I'm ready with that one yet.
Well, just for the record, I'm against it.
Okay.
Really against it, for all you folks online. I think it's really short-sighted. A lot of people build houses and they keep a whole crew of people in this community busy for up to a year. Feeds tons of families, all these people that don't have to drive over the hill. And then they use it as a second home, sometimes they'll use it 6 months out of the year or 2 weeks out of the year. But eventually, everyone's dream is to live here. So I think it'll have a chilling effect if we already have a reputation for being difficult to build here, difficult to work with. It's, you know, it's not true in my opinion. as long as you follow the rules. That's the last thing we need is another hurdle for second homeowners that go, geez, I guess they really don't want us there. And the other thing is, they already pay, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars in property taxes, and you don't use any services. They don't drive the roads, they don't, you know, they're just not here, so I understand the sentiment, but it seems like, you know, and then also you have to hire someone to enforce it, where you're gonna ask the neighbors like, you know, how long was your neighbor here last week? Was it 6 months in one day? Or was he just here for the summer, so you're gonna have to have someone enforce it, or you just use their voting records, if they're registered here, then that's considered a full-time residence. But ultimately, most people have a dream of living here full-time, and then as they age, they can't really live here during full-time. So I think it's just like a class warfare thing, and ultimately, what's it gonna do? What's the unintended consequence? There's gonna be less development here. And is it gonna accomplish what the goal is, to get more people in houses? I mean, a lot of these are unattainable houses. I mean, I think you're just gonna naturally see turnover from the boomers. They're gonna have to start selling at a loss, you know, because the young generation can't afford to buy these $1 million houses. And they're gonna have to go somewhere, and now the market is saturated. I know I said this all week, but I really feel like there's a major correction coming. So the better thing to do, in my opinion, would be for folks to prepare themselves for purchase, you know, and get some skills, and, you know, some roofing skills and some plumbing skills. I mean, it's a difficult situation, but that doesn't seem to me to be the way to tackle it. There's also all these other, you know, taxing issues that tax the wealthy. But all it does, you know, if you look at California, all the movers and shakers are leaving, they can't afford to be there anymore. There's a wealth tax, there's transfer taxes, there's this, there's that. And they're moving to Texas and Tennessee, where there is no state income tax, there's no, you know, it's like, if you ever look at a graph of who pays the taxes, the top 1% pay most, and the top 10% pay most of the rest. So it's a very progressive tax system, and if you just keep going after them, you know, they're gonna go find another state, they're gonna go to Utah or somewhere else where they're skiing and mountain biking.
I think those are valid points. I think it'd be really important to have your perspective in the conversation and figure out, are there solutions to each of these issues you addressed, you know, like, I don't know if you heard, but, you know, I mentioned that I think new construction would be something that could be exempt. You know, so it's like, hey, if you're gonna build a house and add to the housing inventory, and for the record, the last thing I wanna do is see Colorado turn into California. That would be like the only reason I'd wanna move away from here, is like if this place turns into California.
It's not possible, we don't
So-
have an ocean.
So
Do you mind letting Paul Mueller in, please? Thank you.
what, you know, ideas like, how could we alleviate the damage to new construction by coming up with solutions for that? I don't think, my personal story on this one is paints a little bit of a different picture, you know, like, you know, I'm not rolling in dough, and we're insanely taxed for our little cabin we got up north, and we just have to figure out how to make it work, because we don't wanna lose it, we wanna hand that off to our kid. And I know where that money's going up there, and we don't get to use it, you know, we don't use their roads, we don't use their schools, but man, their roads and schools are nice. And it's an 800 square foot cabin, and we're paying $5,500 a year on taxes for something that's, you know, a quarter of this, you know, less than half the size of my house. And if it's important to you and you're taking up an existing piece of inventory that the people up there don't get to have, then you can pay a little extra taxes, and I'm not even at the rate that we're being charged, the state of Michigan does to us for being out of state second homeowners up there. And it's not even a home, you couldn't be there in the winter time, it's uninsulated, you know, it's heated with fire and, it's not, you know, it's not even it's a seasonal cabin, it's ridiculous. I wouldn't even wanna go to the level of what other states are doing. You also look around the country and look at the levels that our, taxes are at, and they're pretty low compared to, we're not even average, you know, we're pretty far down there. I don't like the idea of raising taxes, but then I look at our roads and I look at what our teachers are paid, and I look at all these shortcomings that we have, and I don't know how to fix it, you know? I'm not saying, oh, let's raise taxes, but there's gotta be something somewhere where we can figure out how to fix some of these shortcomings, like our roads, what are we gonna pay, like, an extra $1,000 a year on ball joints, tires, alignments, or extra $700 a year on, or, you know, a couple $100 a year on taxes that help get our roads back in shape. You know, so I'm like, I don't have the silver bullet, and I don't have the magic answer, but I wanna look at these subjects from all different points of view to see where something makes sense, you know, it's sort of like with this animal shelter thing, you know, like the last thing I wanted to do was look at the budget of the animal shelter and say, okay, maybe it makes sense to give you guys more money. And then we started looking at the longer, bigger picture and consider the idea that maybe if they have a person who helps them become a nonprofit on staff, spending that money now saves us money next year. A lot, because then we don't have an animal shelter we have to deal with anymore, it's a nonprofit. So, not the same situation, but sometimes right at face value, some of these, the possible solutions to some of these problems don't feel good right off the bat, but the longer, bigger picture can equal things that are gonna save every taxpayer money right out of their wallets through other means.
I don't know, it's just never gonna be enough, and if you look at, I'll just give you two examples. They just finished the bathrooms at the top of Vale House, $25 million for bathrooms. The other example I'll give is the $1,000 voucher that we're giving if you live in Denver to buy yourself an e-bike. So talk about roads, and then you talk about priorities, and, you know, we're talking about another 4% lodging tax. Visitors are gonna look at that. People don't think they look, but they do. If you look at a VRBO and then you add up all the cleaning fees, taxes, you might just go somewhere else, so it's just a constant chipping away, like we just need a little bit more, you know, there's never enough tax money. I think it's a priority. I mean, you're gonna give somebody $1,000 in tax money to buy an e-bike?
That's not what
I
we're
don't wanna do that.
talking about.
I'm talking about the general concept of
Yes.
trying to tax the rich and help the poor. And that's a generalization and a big general concept. But it seems to me that's the road you're going down when you're saying let's tax extra. And how much is enough? Say a 3,000 square foot house, they're paying $6,000 in taxes. You're gonna double it or add $20 on, or, and then what's the end result gonna be? Are they gonna sell? Is a local family gonna get into that? Are they gonna rent their basement out? So, I'm saying everything I said twice, but.
Well, that's okay, and your points are valid, and I think trying to figure out how to get something in place that has guidelines, you don't raise these things such a percentage that, you know, like what I've got to deal with in Michigan. But you look at what all the other states are doing, how they're getting their roads in good shape, how they're getting their teachers paid, and where we're not doing it. And maybe find something in the middle, or look at the different levels, you know, it's not it's not so black or white, you know, like I think there's different levels of how you can apply some of these things, you know, like a light touch here, a light touch there, and then the culmination of a lot of different approaches can have a big effect. And there's no denying that like people are getting priced out of this community and 26% of our homes are sitting empty. And we can't ask the taxpayers here, what are we gonna do, ask the taxpayers here to build more housing projects? You know, that's the one that really stings me, cause I think, I don't really feel like the county government should be in the business of building houses. I really applaud everyone's efforts and how it's happened, but I feel like we've gotten really lucky at so many junctures of how this whole process has gone with the small projects we've had. And if any one of those went worst case scenario, I don't know, man, I'd lose a lot of sleep over that, and the amount of taxpayer dollars that would be hanging in the balance, really uncomfortable to me. So I'm trying to, you know, look at the problems that we have and think about how to solve them, and not in a way that, okay, here's this one approach that's gonna fix it. It's more of like, we can do a little bit of a lot of different things in ways that aren't super, don't have a major impact on any one demographic, but we're gonna do a little bit across the board. And I think a lot of little bits add up to a lot. So I think that, you know, the idea we couldn't even raise a vacancy tax 0.1% is sort of the biggest issue that I'm looking at right now. And if you've got an empty home sitting there and you're putting a huge dent in the housing supply, and you wanna let the people in this community decide, hey, like, do you think we could do this? Charge extra 1/10%, 0.5%, 1%, 2%, who knows, you know? But let the people decide what makes sense, spell it out for them, make it easy to understand. I think it should be up to the voters as to how we're getting out of some of the holes that we're in. And we're looking at housing, you know, when you're looking at crashes in housing and how that's gonna impact the people who live here, county services, what we're able to even do as a government entity, we're gonna look at what we're bringing in every year shrink huge in a couple of years as the valuations drop in our, so help us help ourselves. How are we gonna do that? That's my idea, because it's something I deal with personally in my own life. And it's not awesome, but neither is, you know, half the stuff we have to deal with in this room. So it's like, what's the least amount of not awesome that we can figure out with staff, with people who are, you know, well versed in the subject. And that's why I wanna keep the conversations going and keep talking. And I think we need everybody at the table to talk about this stuff, even if you're totally against it. So
I think we could work on it for 2026. And maybe we don't get it into the 2026 legislative session, but if we're even just talking about it, networking, using our professionals, understanding what other people have done before us, like really getting a sense of the whole layout and history of trying to make this happen, you know, I think 2027 would be a reasonable marker to actually try to make something happen.
moving at the blazing speed of government.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, right now, they've been doing all the work starting at the end of the last the legislative session, building their coalitions, understanding who can champion bills through the legislature, in both the House and the Senate, doing all the research, producing the piece of legislation, and then doing more coalition building now at like CCAT, CCI, CML. So it does take a while to make a bill before it even gets to the legislature.
Well, when it's stuff like this, I think, you know, it's super complex.
Yeah, years.
Yeah, years. This isn't like the
It's not let's toss it on the Bobby.
yeah, And this, being part of this gives you a chance to explain to people your side, maybe pull some people off over to your side, I don't know, I think it's important to have your perspective in there as well if we do start. The more and more I talk about this, the more I realize that there's a lot more counties that are right about where I'm at, or a lot more elected officials in other counties who are wondering how we're gonna get through these storms that are on the horizon, and maybe it's also a way for, putting your voice in there is a way to steer things in a way that makes more sense for builders and people who are trying to create more housing instead of just, investors from out of state who are snatching up homes here just to sit on and wait for the market to correct or come back and sell them when it's hot.
Well, they're also taking all the risk, I mean, if you look at the guy yesterday, he probably bought that lot for 63, and now he's got offers for 25, so.
Well, those offers, I've got them on my house too, and they're the people who are sitting, anyone who says yes to those guys are the reason we've got 26% of empty housing, because there are people who are elderly, wanna move away, they don't got any family, they're like, oh yeah, I don't care what my house is worth, I just want the money, I'm out of here, it's too cold. Based out of these investment groups,
They're trawling,
And-
trawling.
yeah, and they buy these places up and they sit on them, and they know that they've got a portfolio full of real estate properties in small ski towns, and
Yeah,
they're just waiting for things to pop up, and there's probably aspects of that are beneficial, I get the argument of like, well, they are paying your property taxes and they're not using your schools and your hospitals and your roads, like, that's a valid argument. That said, our inventory and our availability to build and the cost of building and the amount of people who are probably one paycheck away from being on the streets is the other side of that, and it kinda gets into that people over potholes argument. So,
well, good luck with that, I don't know.
well, I'd really like your perspectives on that to be, more of the conversation, and I'll let you know when we're sitting down and talking to people about this stuff, because, and it's up, totally up to you, and I'll bring up your points, I think.
Hey Matt, do you mind
So-
leaving that open? I'm sorry.
Sorry, shut it cause the dog was barking.
I know, but now that
It's
the
hot
dog's
here.
gone, I'm
Sorry guys, I
sweltering.
didn't realize this was at 8 this morning.
No worries, man.
Snorting all the way.
Well, certainly I have a bias, because I'm making a living off those people.
Yeah, dude, well, what if we carved out an exemption for new homes?
Yeah, and a lot of people make their livings off second hand.
Yeah,
The
but
cleaners, the maintenance guys,
we could get into the,
a lot of blue collar work is done in second and third homes.
yeah,
There's a whole industry revolves around it. The problem of big companies buying up neighborhoods, that's a separate issue, and I'd be
Mm-hmm.
for that. Or limiting big investment groups to hold a certain percentage of our housing stock.
yeah,
And I don't think that's right, and they are affecting housing prices, and they would like to own everything and rent to all of us, so.
mhm.
Are we taking public comment today?
Now, it's
To
a
the
work
chair.
session, so this is here for us to get work done, figure out things out. Public comment is going to be at regular meetings during the public comment section.
Anyway, did we beat that dog to death?
Well,
I love it, no, I love that conversation, and I'm,
I think you
It's
might
a
get what
puzzle.
you want, because, CCI is really conservative, but, the Colorado ski counties working together.
CAST, CCAT, CML,
CC4, CA.
I mean, I think you might get a coalition with those folks, cause
yeah, but
it's a problem, and it's a solution to a problem that, that I don't agree with, but I think you might have enough people on board that.
Do you have a different solution? Cause we can absolutely see what other people are talking about for different solutions to it.
solution to second homeowners, I don't see it as a problem really, I see
Not second homeowners, vacant homes.
vacant homes.
Because second homeowners, there are two, it's not all just wealthy folks who own homes, vacation homes, right? There's that second, those are vacant homes. But then if you look in town, we've got plenty of vacant homes that have just been passed down through the generations that nobody's doing anything with, that live in trusts that nobody's doing anything with. So some of our vacant home issue in this town, in this county, is not necessarily the second homeowners who like come up or race or vacation up here. It's like, it's not just that,
I see that.
yeah.
And that's a different issue, is dilapidated homes. And a lot of them,
Or just empty ones, right? Like
Yeah.
there's one on my street that's owned by a family. I've seen them once in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So to own an asset like that isn't necessarily the same kind of second homeowner as the wealthy that you're talking about, but helping to move that stock is something that could really help our housing needs up here. Do you have any
it could,
ideas for that?
it's really hypothetical though, and that's a store
course.
of wealth, and there's a, private property, people have rights.
Yes,
Families have rights. So to me, the answer is more housing, more entry level housing.
and how do you think we get that?
Tiny homes.
Well, it's too bad that we lost the opportunity down at the trailer parks because they have the density, the infrastructure. I think it looks like a trailer park with tiny homes and starter homes and, so who
What
knows? I'm not smart
But who
enough to solve
builds it? Policy wise, I think is what we're talking about. We're talking about policy level.
Mhm.
You're against taxing the wealthy who can afford homes to try to get income to help with housing for folks who don't. So what, like policy wise, Matt, what would you be interested in to get the solution for the money that actually builds that housing stock?
Well, there already is a transfer tax, right? A self-imposed transfer tax down at Angel View for properties over a certain
Million.
dollar amount. So they've agreed to a transfer tax.
The
It's vol-
20 homes that'll be down there.
It's voluntary, I mean, that's a start.
Mhm.
So,
Voluntary transfer fees.
well, not a voluntary, but maybe a house over a certain amount could have a small transaction fee that goes into our housing, our housing. But really, I don't know, I guess it's a combination of all the things that we're talking about, but ultimately, we shouldn't be building houses, we should be incentivizing builders to build houses with, look, we're not gonna charge you any permit fees.
Sure.
Or if you build an ADU, you can verifiably get a local in there and rent it for 9 months out of the year. We're not gonna charge you property tax on that ADU for that year. Every year you have to fill out this paperwork and show that, Joe down at Safeway has been living in that place for 9 months out of the year. And we're not gonna charge you the property tax or incentives like that don't create more taxes, but they do create taxes in that, Joe will be buying coffee, paying taxes at Safeway and buying tags for his car, so. I don't know, it has to be a public-private partnership, obviously, but we don't have the money to front developers, so it has to be incentives from us.
We also need the money to do all that administration though too.
What I,
Like that, all the 2A money, it's pretty much going towards administration. It's not like this extra tax that we've got helps go towards incentivizing like you're talking about. So we do need some sort of income for administering, like the community planning and development right now doesn't have the capacity to be able to do that. So should that just come from the general fund, or would you be interested in another revenue stream to help with that. Sorry, Matt, I am trying to find you. Andy's big ol' head.
My big old head.
Or do you, or it's okay if you don't have an answer, I was just curious.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I do know philosophically, if we tax and tax and tax, it's a death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah,
You get your check, you take a bunch out, you go to Safeway, you pay all the sales tax, you pay sales tax here, you pay tax for your car. You know, it's just, it's easy to say, well, if we could just get a little here, and a little here, and then all of a sudden, I mean, I make a certain amount in this job. And man, it would be impossible to live on,
yeah.
a family of 4, it's impossible. So, I feel for people, I have a newfound soft spot in my heart for people who make,
Less than $80,000 a year.
or
That's
50
most.
grand a year, which is what this county pays.
Yeah, it's every teacher, you know. When I hear you bring up, like incentives for builders, where that leads in my mind is that, well, we're just, taking from, how's that saying go, taking from Peter to pay Paul? Cause you're basically taking what would, you know, permit fees and stuff go into the general fund as well as everyone's tax dollars, you know? So we're draining from one bucket, the same bucket that we are, you know, we're giving builders incentives to build cheaper houses, but that to me sort of feels like now the taxpayers are on the hook yet again for this.
I mean, that's
So-
one of the reasons why people leverage TIFs. And I know that was a hot button topic in our election, but TIFs actually help you maintain your property taxes. And then you use the extra income of what the developer has allowed that value of that area to increase to be invested into the area again. So TIFs are actually help you do both.
Well,
Where you
I'd
maintain
need a lot more hours on that because I don't,
We did just do a training that with Laura. Well,
I mean, I was there with, you know, and we've got another one. Was that with,
I don't think you guys were there.
no,
But TIFs basically are what you're talking about. Are what you're talking about, excuse me, where you're not actually robbing from Peter to pay Paul. You're using the difference made up so that your property tax income to the government entities remains the same. And it has your inflation increase, and then the extra value that, say like your house, Andy, we'll use your house. Your house, let's say, pays $3,000 in property tax. And then you get to go, you do improvements on your building that actually increase the value of your property so that now you would be charged at a $5,000 tax rate. The taxing entities still get their $3,000, and that $2,000 gets split into a couple different ways, including going back to the person who made the investment on the home, so that you can continue to invest in that property and increase its value. So you don't rob from Peter, but you're rewarded for investing in your property. That wouldn't be for an individual, that would be for actually a developer.
yeah.
So it's
It would
a
be
form of
interesting to
public
see
private
case
partnership.
studies of where these have worked out and where they've gone south and
Yeah.
look at,
Well, I know Paul Mueller's on here and he doesn't like them, but I do think that they've been really successful in plenty of places.
Well, that's what happened up at the rail yard.
That's what is happening.
Yeah, so he's getting, I think he has a 20-year,
TIF.
which is really lucrative for him.
It also goes to fund lots of other things though. It's not only going back to the developer. That's why that, whatever you increase it, the developer gets some of that. But then some of it goes back to like the Laura to help with housing and to help with our urban infrastructure. So it goes back to the schools, and it goes back to the hospital. So, you know, it's not just going back to the developer. But yeah, it's an incentive.
It's too bad that that project's not gonna be seen all the way through, because all the stuff that really would have helped us, the commercial and the smaller units up front.
They're not putting the strip up front anymore?
I think they've come to an impasse with the city, and they don't wanna move forward because it's, well, one, the market, but two, I've heard it's been very difficult to work with the city. Not very welcoming or flexible, and it really stinks, because now we're just gonna have that ugly field out in front of those nice houses, and that's where all of the commercial and the smaller units. So
Is that set in stone? He's walking away from it? Cause I haven't
that's what
heard
I
that.
heard, so he's fed up.
I've heard that he's fed up for sure. But he's been fed up multiple times over 10 years.
Yeah, but he's taken a lot of risk, and it was over some trees. I've only heard one side of it. I have
Yeah.
not heard the city side. But it seems to me like when you and developers always do that. They get all the big stuff, all the the high profit stuff built, and then they build the affordable units
Mm-hmm.
at the end with
Promises.
promises that they can walk away from. So
Yeah.
he's walking away. His family doesn't wanna sell, they don't wanna continue. So we're gonna be looking at those tumbleweed fields for the next 20 years.
I think taking the opposite approach of having less government involvement in the housing situation of like the actual building, the nuts and bolts of it, the construction part, by looking at where we can deregulate and making building more affordable. If we could apply that to some of these smaller affordable structures, like, okay, this whole area, we're gonna rezone where your smallest lot size and your minimum square footage and.
Like tiny homes.
Yeah, sorry, I guess I'm back on my tiny
No, I hear it,
homes
cause
here.
I'm thinking in my head, okay, what regulations locally could we deregulate? And honestly, building size is the only one that's actually local.
And I'd hate, make a all-season RV park or something, or people who wanna live out of their vans.
There's a 600 square foot minimum, I think.
For homes,
For homes.
construction, yeah.
Which is a decent size home,
That's way bigger than my first home.
Yeah, I've definitely lived in houses in this town where the usable heated part of the house was smaller than 600 feet.
Yeah,
Hey, you don't need much,
You didn't need a
really don't.
refrigerator, you just put all your
Don't need
food in the
much.
back
right
room.
outside.
Yeah.
just need love.
Here,
Home with love.
I've written that down. I'll make sure to represent that on Friday.
do some,
Make sure they know it came from you.
I will, I'll be sure to say it came from Matt.
Any other volatile, I guess this, do you wanna let us know how you're gonna vote, because you're gonna say support, not support, or neutral, is that right?
It all depends on the conversation in the room.
Okay.
So I don't know how I'm gonna vote till we actually get into the room and the discussion, we see where the bill is actually moving. But if there are certain things that you all feel, here, do you want the list?
yes, thank you, like, I'm still, the Lake 2025's not working.
Let's see, the one that was of interest to me was the electrical inspector flexibility for small local governments. I talked to this guy, he's from Las Vegas. I think he's the county manager or somebody. Anyway, right now we have state electrical inspectors and we get inspections Tuesdays and Thursdays. And they're really busy where he's from, and that apparently is a state law. State currently requires all electrical inspectors to be licensed electricians. And so his idea is that we could have inspectors that weren't licensed electricians, which I think is a really bad idea.
Yeah, and right now each county is not required to have somebody on staff. So if you don't, then the state already does it and provides the electrician.
They do. And
Yeah,
it's
so
Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's a decent system, it's not great, but those guys are highly qualified.
Yeah,
There's a lot of liability involved with electrical,
yeah,
and we've had inspectors around here before that have no idea what they're doing. So I pushed back on him a little bit, and he made some really good points, saying, you know, everybody's insured and this and that, but I would say keeping it the way it is, you know, requiring, you're certainly welcome to have your local inspector, but he should be a master electrician. And I think that we should have master plumbers too. That's not in the code, cause our inspector right now is not a master plumber. And he's constantly going around and around
yeah.
with our master plumbers, thinking he knows more than them. And that's how industry starts to fall away, you know, in carpentry and stuff. It's totally unregulated. There's no, you know, there's a lot of people that building houses that shouldn't be because they have no training. So at least the plumbers and electricians have kept up some kind of licensure and you know, accountability.
Mhm.
So that was one that was of interest to me.
No problem. Yeah, I think that one has been pretty mixed from the smaller plenty of the smaller counties are like, we don't need this, the state already provides this.
Yeah.
And then other small counties have been like, well, we can't get anyone on staff because they have to be a master electrician. So I would say I'm already in support of that, yeah. Or like, I'm already in agreement with you, I would not vote for this.
Okay. What about the SNAP benefits from El Paso County? That one was pretty contentious.
There are two different ones that are being proposed.
This is the one that currently permits purchase of sugar sweetened beverages and candy despite overwhelming evidence linking sugar to chronic diseases such as obesity, diabetes, heart disease, etc.
Yeah, I'm against this one. I
You
think I'm not interested in regulating what poor people eat. And one of the commissioners, she grew up on SNAP benefits. And she said that, I mean, she was very moving talking about how if this was implemented, her mom would not have been able to buy her a birthday cake on SNAP benefits.
Mm.
And sometimes the SNAP benefits are like make or break. There's not extra money to buy extra sweets for special occasions, for prizes, for just needing a sugary sweet. So anyway, I'm not a fan of regulating poor people's what they eat. I'm okay at incentivizing, but I'm not interested in like taking away income to be able to provide
It would have
sugary
been
things.
interesting if they could have categorized purchases, figured out how to make, okay, you can only spend this much of your benefits on junk food, you know, but that the cost
Oh my
involved
gosh,
with
yeah.
that would be
I'm sorry, I have to
astronomical.
step out and come back.
So
No
it's
worries.
okay. I don't know, I was against it at first, I thought it was kind of judgmental. Now I think we're paying, and it's mostly soda. You know, a lot of kids don't even drink water, they just drink soda, and
Yeah.
a lot of adults drink diet soda. So we're paying for them to buy the soda, drink the soda, their teeth go bad, their health goes bad, and then we're paying at the end. You know, soda is basically poison, so we're subsidizing them poisoning themselves. So I'm actually changing my mind, I think maybe, I think it's a good idea. I think if you're gonna be on public benefits, at least carve out soda. At the very least, carve out soda. You know, the other problem is there's so much, even stuff that's healthy that comes in a box that's ultra processed is still junk food. So,
I guess for me, I'm not interested, like if we wanted to do that across the board, talk about regulating food and sugar intake across the board, we can talk about that, but I think singling out a certain population because of their income is not interesting to me. That is not aligned with my values.
This is just sugar sweetened beverages and candy.
Yeah, and they're
Doesn't say
talking about,
anything birthday cake.
that's what I'm saying is the conversation in the room has been expanding this further and further and further. So if you say you really want me to vote for this, if you all agree that you want me to vote for this, give me a line that you would want it to stop at, because right now it is including everything in the room. It's at ice cream, it's
How
like,
do
well, what
you-
about all the sugary cereals, and what about all those granola bars that are pretty much just sugar, you know, like, that's what that's the direction they're
I
going.
mean, if it's,
It's all sugar, so my line would be
Soda, okay,
Mountain Dew, even diet soda, it's poison. And people who drink it are totally addicted to it and, it's a real problem.
I think there's some studies that show that refined sugar has addictive properties that are on the same level as like certain narcotics.
Yeah.
same with cheese,
Well, I will vouch for that all day.
yeah, anyways, it's just, I don't feel like
It's a
this is where I would
slippery-
wanna use my
It's a
political
slippery slope.
influence. There are a lot of things that we need to like, we can only choose 5 to 8 priorities from CCI.
Okay.
And so when I look at the whole of all the things that we could be legislating that could really make a big difference in people's lives, this is not close to the top of my list.
Okay.
So
The
if this
difference
is in
in
your,
people's lives, the crap that we are being, the poison that's on the shelves in the grocery stores is in my mind the root of a lot of really serious problems we have
It's
as a
all
country, which, it's sort of bleeds into healthcare costs, people stagnating, energy levels, moods, mental health.
Poison, it extends into the produce section as well. That
Yeah, I
stuff's
just-
all poison.
there are like so many comorbidities that that people with less money experience. This is like one. So I feel like just doing one is not actually, it's not actually attacking all, it's not actually trying to solve the comorbidities, it's just being like, here, I'm gonna put a barrier here, you're gonna figure out how to get around it. But it's not actually like helping people, it's just regulating people. So of all of these, top 8, it is not. And I feel like when we came into this job, regulating what people ate was not on any of our priority lists or what we were talking about in this room ever. So,
Well, no, but we're looking at the list that's in front of us. And out of this list, like, I wouldn't have looked at electrical inspections and put it at the top of the list, but listening, I think listening to all 3 voices on the board, it's sort of like, okay, like, well, what are your 8? What are your 8 and what are my 8? And then we look and see if any of those overlap, and if they do, and if not, then we can sit here and chat about, well, okay, yeah, you're right, that's more important than soda on SNAP benefits, or, but
I see what you're saying, Elsa, it's a slippery slope. But it's one step you could take and, I see what you're saying, it's regulating people's preferences. But it is tax dollars and it does come back to haunt people at the end where more tax dollars have to be spent to try and keep them alive or try and cure their obesity or their medical difficulties. And, we got Coca-Cola in the schools and, Coca-Cola's a huge lobby. So maybe if we could just fight back a little bit against Coca-Cola.
yeah, PepsiCo's got their hands in all kinds of stuff that you wouldn't even believe with our if you're building distillery, I mean, I guess I'm going off on a tangent here,
That's
so.
okay, this is relevant. Go ahead.
Yeah, do it.
If you're building a distillery and you wanna create and sell alcohol, right? This just happened over in Park County with someone I knew, actually it was like a year or two ago, but I don't think anything's changed. Their fees, it was like a recipe fee that, what they had to pay to the state to get the green light on being able to create their alcohol. The fees were reduced by some crazy percentage, and we're talking like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, like tens of thousands of dollars, if they added caramel coloring to the recipe. Like it changed what their permitting fees with the state were to get approval for their recipe. So, the guy, and I'm recalling off of what the guy opening the distillery was telling me, about his fees with the state. If he changed his recipe to include caramel coloring, his fees with the state were reduced by a significant portion. The company that produces the majority of that ingredient available in the United States is owned by Pepsi Corporation. And it's also like a known carcinogen, it's pretty toxic, it like basically just adds some color. But pretty much any hard liquor that's brownish in color has caramel coloring in it, you know, like unless it's like some real high-end bougie whiskeys or whatever, you know. But I was like, I'm asking him like, why is that the case? He's like, because lobbyists from this corporation wanna make sure that everyone's using their stuff. And I have no hard evidence to back that up, but it was from a, you know, credible person who was opening his business and going through the whole processes, and he was describing how to have his alcohol certified organic, the process and everything, and it was basically like, you just pay money. No one's coming to look at your stuff, they're more worried about inspecting your still than they are about like looking at what ingredients you're actually using to make sure it's organic, they just want your money. But then, on that note, you don't have to pay them a bunch of money if you put this ingredient in your recipe. It was like, are you serious? Like, that sounds so crooked and like wrong. It's like everything that's wrong with our government and.
There's so many examples of that.
Yeah.
The corn industry,
Mm-hmm.
corn syrup,
Ethanol
corn,
destroys
ethanol.
engines.
See,
Corn
I think
starch.
that's where I'd be interested in like looking at policies about what people are consuming, as opposed to actually regulating it once they have the choice. So, I would rather regulate it before it gets into the grocery store, as opposed to saying like, some people can buy this, other people can't.
Well, I think, like, you know, has been said to me many times in this room, is like, we're taking a logical approach to something and you're dealing with illogical
Yeah.
situations.
Totally.
And I think maybe the reason some of these things are on this bill is because they've tried the logical approach, like why are we putting this crap and run up against maybe powerful lobbying groups who are gonna win every time when you try and do something logically, like we need to get this crap out of our food.
I mean, I asked and that's not why they're doing it,
Yeah.
so maybe that is why they're doing it and they just didn't say it. But they said it's because SNAP means nutrition, and the whole point of the bill is to provide nutrition,
Yeah.
so I was like. Anyway, so can you all make a decision so that I can know how to vote on Friday?
Okay, we're picking 8.
No, about this one,
Oh,
let's just finish
Snap?
this one.
I think we limit it to just soda, and I'd be for it.
Okay.
Sugary soda and diet soda, as a start.
If you throw energy drinks in there, I'm all for it.
Sugary drinks is what it says in candy.
Okay, and candy is just.
Sorry,
this-
Elsa, I know you're against that, but
I just don't like regulating people's bodies, I don't, all around. And I feel like this is really,
they're certainly welcome to use their own money to buy Cokes.
yeah, and the point is that these folks need extra cash to be able to buy things.
This is supplemental nutrition,
Yeah.
so if
Sometimes
That's a good
it's all
point.
they have. sometimes it's all they have, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm just against it all around, and I don't really like when the government is paternal, like thinking that they regulate people, thinking that they have their best interest in mind. So I'm just against that kind of regulation. That's why I'm like, just all around, I understand the reasoning about people can buy it if they want. I understand the reasoning about, sugary drinks are really bad for us, I
We're already doing
understand that.
It's already in existence, you can't go out and buy a six-pack of beer with your SNAP benefits.
That's right.
Exactly. Or
Totally.
cigarettes.
And that's, in the same spirit, because we're
Yeah.
determining, but there's,
And I'm
You know,
just saying, I'm
there's-
just against it.
yeah,
I'm
and
just,
that's okay, like, I
Yeah.
understand why, and I respect your position on that all day,
I like your anti-regulatory stance on this.
thank you.
That aligns with my values and
I thought you'd like that, Matt.
I wish you could extend that to the second homeowner tax.
Nah, I'm egalitarian all
That's
day.
different,
All day I'm egalitarian.
that's different.
It is different.
We can regulate their homes but not their bodies.
Yeah. I think we can regulate wealth disparity, but not people's bodies.
Regulate wealth disparity.
Yeah.
We already do, we have a progressive tax system that, the more you make, the more you pay. The
Well,
less
we
you
have a
make,
flat
that's
rate
a-
in Colorado. We have a flat rate income tax.
yeah.
it's true, but it is progressive in a way. It's what, 4 point some %, so
Yeah,
the more you make, the more you're paying. If you look at
right,
who
yeah.
funds most of Colorado, it's the people making over $100,000 a year.
Yes, and progressive taxes are actually progressively
Right.
changed, so I get the percentage
Like the
allows
federal
it to,
tax.
yeah, and some states have progressive taxes.
Mhm.
Anyway, so we're gonna hold it at soda, and Andy, you'd be interested in energy drinks?
I guess that would fall under carbonated sugary beverages, I sure hope.
It says sugary drinks and candy.
Yeah, I mean,
And do you want me to try to get candy off?
in the spirit of that this is a supplemental thing, like, hey, we understand you need help with food. And the vast majority of people on SNAP are not existing solely off of SNAP. I think there are some of them out there, and it's sort of like every presidential election, we gotta pick the lesser of two bad choices, and this is kind of like, feels like that to me, where it's like, well, ideally, we can regulate the toxic crap that's affecting people every day in negative ways at a different level, but in absence of that, I think people who need the most help also shouldn't be burdened by this a failing of our FDA to regulate toxic crap out of our food and let people think that it's okay to, get by all day in school, snacking on candies and sodas and like that. I agree with Matt that I think it's poison, and we're regulating cigarettes and other things we consider poison, but there's, 100-year-old dudes in Indonesia chain smoking. They would argue with us about what's healthy or what's not, and it's just kinda like, I don't know, I'm for it, yeah, I don't think SNAP should be able to buy sodas and candy.
Yeah, do you want me to hold it candy too, Matt?
So does the candy.
Sodas and candy?
If I may suggest, you
Yeah.
might wanna check in with the county's medical director on it, because one thing about candy is one of the unintended consequences there might be a disparate impact on folks with diabetes. Because sometimes you have to have hard candies if they're having an issue with their blood sugar.
Yeah.
And I would expect that there are probably a number of folks who receive SNAP who also are challenged with
Cause they've been
diabetes.
drinking soda their whole lives.
Ooh, yeah, whoa. Recorded meeting,
Candy.
dude.
I thought it, but I didn't say it.
I know, sorry, that was out of line, I'll own that, it just,
They have
Um,
insulin resistance from constant sugar intake.
Some people don't,
Some
but it's
people
not
are,
why.
yeah, some people it's different, but I don't know,
that's a
let's,
good point, Chris.
It's a tough one.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be supplemental nutrition, not supplemental medical interventions.
Are they hazard
So a
to say they're
prescription for
related?
What's that?
Is it a hazard to suggest that they're often related, that the food has a direct impact on their medical condition, their health?
Oh, sure, yeah,
On
absolutely.
both sides of the point that y'all have made.
Yeah, it's a little judgmental and it's a, you know, it's a tough choice, but I think I'm gonna stick with my choice. I think, you know, there has to be some guidelines, there has to be some pushback. This is tax money, you know, by the way. So, I don't know.
oh
I think,
man,
I
I
think-
thought this would be the one that we ruminate on for,
I think Coca-Cola falls into the same category as cigarettes and beer. Okay, should we move on here?
What else do you guys wanna talk about?
Let's talk about AQCC regulation number 31 is,
Can you say what the title is?
yeah, it is, yeah, of course, we should talk about the Colorado counties use different CPI when determining electric salary increases. This one happens to be about, about the dump. I lost it.
It's an air quality regulation.
Yes, thank you.
Under land use and natural resources.
okay.
There it is, right at the bottom. How are you? Elsa, do you wanna,
I'm against this,
you're against this?
yeah. Easy.
Well, the first two words jump out right away, it's unfunded mandate. Being imposed through administrative rulemaking that will potentially make county landfills impossible to operate. Get our jumping jacks going again upstairs.
Yeah, what's going on over there?
You know,
I'm
and
against this as well.
yeah, I think it's a great idea, but we cannot be told to do more with no money.
Right, Well,
It's easy, no, I think that everybody at CCI is like, why would we, everybody's in favor of this opposition.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
In favor of the opposition.
Yeah, nobody's for this.
That's an easy one.
Yeah.
All unfunded mandates are easy.
Yeah, everybody's gonna push back against all of them.
What about election signature verification?
That one is,
That one's at the top.
let me see.
Allows rural counties to have a bipartisan team of election judges to review ballot signatures in tier 1 level, since we do not have an automated verification device. Sounds reasonable to me.
Which a lot of counties already do this. So we think I was in favor of it just being codified.
Yeah.
Okay,
So, Elsa, is there anything you think might be worth discussing here on this list?
I was gonna chat with Jackie, she wanted to, I did bring this up, I told her we were gonna talk about it today, I don't know why she's
Yeah.
not here, but the Prop 123.
the email she just sent us about, mortgage percentages of income being too restrictive to allow the affordable housing projects to be owned by the people who actually pretty much live here, like.
Yeah.
How much of a problem that was. I mean, it's only affected, I think, two of the homes that,
Well,
or two of the applicants.
that's part of it, it's the deed restrictions, because the deed
Yeah.
restriction that the county adopted for its project is in perpetuity. I mean, as long as that unit exists, it's intended to remain an affordable housing unit, but the two that are subject to DOLA's deed restriction, that deed restriction only runs for, I believe it's 30 years.
Yeah,
And the concern is then it would default to a market rate, so you'd end up having a situation with the residents in the affordable housing development being treated unequally, if you will, because one would be able to, if they were, I mean, to me, not many people stay in their home for more than 30 years these days, but if they were, and part of the question is that since that deed restriction runs with the land, does it start over with each successive buyer, or can it be at the end of 30 years in the life of that unit that all of a sudden it's allowed to be sold at market?
Windfall,
That's,
huge windfall,
yeah,
that
so
doesn't
that's,
sound right.
that, I think that, no, it doesn't sound right. So those are just some quirks, I think that unintended consequences of that, and then the AMI funding formula type stuff is a real detriment to families being able to apply and qualify for affordable housing units.
Yeah, both proposals from CCI address the AMI issue because everybody's having
That same situation.
similar issues. So
So I
both,
think Jackie's new issue was the deed restriction question.
right, which neither of those are proposed in the CCI legislation, but both of them are addressing AMI and one of them addresses MOUs. So I was a fan of both Prop 123s. The real estate transfer fee, I'm hearing that I think that would be one that it sounds like we might be not aligned with. I was a fan of supporting Pitkin County if they can move it through till it gets into courts. I'm fine with that. I don't think it'll actually ever become a law.
No,
I don't.
the real estate transfer fee, is that something that applies across the board?
It just allows you to be able to create a transfer fee.
I need to read into it more. It was one of the subjects that got brought up along a laundry list of other things.
The governing body of every local government is hereby authorized to impose a real estate transfer fee on every document in writing whereby title to real property situated within the boundaries of the local government is transferred. The fee shall be measured by the consideration paid or to be paid for such grant or conveyance, and shall be due and payable by either grant or blah blah. At the time of transfer, blah blah blah, it'll be recorded. The governing body of every local government is hereby authorized to oppose the amount of the real estate transfer fee. And it cannot exceed 4%.
ooh, that's hefty.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just a cap. So the idea is that it would allow you to, every governing body, so the municipality or the county, could create a transfer fee.
I just don't, I think it's selling and buying homes is sketchy, it's hard enough as it is with so many hidden costs and realtors fees and that this is when this comes up in the vacancy tax subject, I don't think they align, like it doesn't align to me because this feels across the board on everything, can be implied in a way that seems unfair to people who are taking a loss on their home or, you know, your average local who's what
You can impose, the idea with this,
I don't like it, I don't think.
okay, it sounds like you have a fear that might not actually be built into this
Okay,
though.
like let me real quick just say like what I'm looking to do is go after the people, the more of like the investment groups that are sitting on empty houses to make money off of our housing supply. Purely for like the profiteers and, you know, not your average family trying to sell their home and maybe step up or sell their home because they can't afford it anymore and they gotta step down. And that's what I wanna make sure, that's to me what I'm worried about, from what I'm hearing with this and what I've heard so far. Okay,
So this would propose that any municipality or governing body could create their own. So you could create it so that it is progressive, say. So if your home is sold for less than blah blah blah, you know, increase in value, you pay this percentage. If it's sold with this much profit, you pay this percentage, no more than 4%. So the idea of this is that you get to set your own fee. So it would be able to avoid what you're concerned about. But the whatever $2.8 million home that's listed on here, you could say that one, we want it to have a certain fee. Whereas Kathy would have a different fee based on the type of property it is. So I'm just saying, this one allows for the lever to be created, and then you choose what the lever would pull. So, if you guys are both against it, that's fine. I was hoping to support Pitkin just so that they could get it, just so that they could potentially get it into the courts, because it's a Tabor issue.
Yeah.
And I think anything that allows us to kind of find our ways and moves around and with Tabor is a benefit to all of us. So that's why I wanted to support this.
Seems right, like the right move for them. I mean, they got $25 million homes. And I'm contradicting myself here with my general feeling of
You're a complex individual, that's okay.
class warfare. But
I-
when you're talking 25 million, maybe if we could say any home above 2 million,
Sure.
2.5 million?
We can do
That's-
that based on the proposal.
The appealing
Which I
part of
love.
this is that it puts it to the voters, lets each county craft. There's no one size fits all for all 64 counties, which
Right.
is very nice.
Which is awesome.
And if the board is of a mind of like, we don't think this is the right thing,